All right, welcome. This is the Dare to be Diamond community team meeting, and we are really excited to have Annalisa on today to share, just share some words with us because she's a stinking powerhouse. I love hearing from her every time. I've just watched her journey from the beginning to now, and she's just come into her own and become like a completely different person, to be honest. And I love it. And every time I hear her live videos, I'm just like, oh, where does this come from? So we kind of collectively as a team said, it's your turn. So we are really excited to have her. And I'm Ansley. If I think there's a couple of new faces on here, I'm one of your Senior Ruby uplines somewhere in the pattern. And I'm happy to have you. So I'm going to turn it over to Annalisa and let her share with us.
Hi, y'all. I know everyone, I think, so we're good. So what I wanted to start with is just kind of my journey because as I look back, I realized there's just layers and layers of the onion that have peeled back. Like when I started Plexus, I really was not looking for anything more than get my products paid. And I was like on the edge about doing that because everything I had done before, I was really my best customer and nobody else really joined me or I wasn't successful in the past. So I thought, well, sure, I'll just say my goal is products paid. And so I kind of started out with that as my goal. And then I wanted to get healthy and be able to keep up with my kids. And then once I got my products paid and I kind of was doing the business, but I was stopping and then I was starting and then I would stop and start and stop and start. And then just because of life, stress happened and my mother-in-law moved in with us and I'm going to get emotional, y'all. So she moved in with us and my son.
They're used to with me. You're in the right place.
He's got special needs. So when we had all this change and shift happening, it stressed us out. And I was doing really good with the products and I was doing really good with exercising now and mindset, but I was struggling with money and finances. And I guess I'm just going to tell you when I shifted is what I'm talking about. What shifted me? And it was this struggle. And I was really should I stay with Plexus? I mean, I really did just join this as a hobby. This wasn't going to be my life goal and my life purpose, right? Or, I have my mother-in-law moved in and my son has special needs and life and I need to maybe get a real job and stuck with my head in the clouds or whatever. And then I realized, hey, those are good reasons to try this. I don't have time. I don't have the ability to do an 8 to 5 and still take care of what needs to be taken care of. And given my resources, given my life, this actually makes sense. So I just decided I had been applying these mindset shift ideas, which I'll talk about at the end, to my exercise. Maybe instead of saying, I hate running, I'll start saying, I love that I can run, even when my legs feel like jello, and try to see things in a positive sense. So that's what I did with my business. And I just said, you know what? If I want this to be a hobby, then I'll make hobby money. And that has been said to me from the beginning. But if I want this to be a business, then I need to treat it like a business. Like when I worked in customer service, I would go in, I had sort of my routine. I would check my email. I would follow up with the customers that I had written down, maybe 2 weeks ago, they said, call me on the 15th, and then I'll do whatever we need to do. So I realized if I want actually to make a difference for my family in particular in our circumstance, but for other people too. There's other people who can't do a traditional 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 plus travel and all that stuff and still be there the way they want to for their families. So I just decided to take that excuse that I had, I don't have time, and say, that's why I need to do this. You think you don't have time now, try getting a 9 to 5, right? Or the stress of not having, not being able to pay for my products, honestly. That is, I want to be able to do this because the products have made a difference in my life. I've gotten off all my medications, and I don't have high blood pressure. I'm not anemic. I mean, I can go on and on about the health benefits that I've had just from taking the products, because it took me a good while just to get my diet in check and to get off that medication. So I already knew products worked, but let me go back to where I'm at. Basically, in what I thought was like the worst time, I was learning my why. It's because my family, that's it. And I want to be there, and I want to be healthy, and and I don't just mean like my immediate family, like my kids. I mean, like my dad, he has health issues. He has financial trouble, like anyone else who has kids with special needs who I didn't know about encopresis. Does anyone know about encopresis? So basically, it's soiling themselves. I'm going to go get a tissue. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, y'all. I have to get a tissue. Basically, I didn't know that I was not the only one for many years whose son would soil himself. So to say that Plexus changed our life it's unreal. And then my mother-in-law has health issues, and she started taking Plexus, and she's seeing health benefits. So I just decided, like, I can't afford not to do this. Even if I don't make Diamond, it's okay. Like, I need to help people, because for 5 years, my sister, Sue, who's on the call, at least 5 years, would not stop talking about leaky gut and candida and the connection to ADHD and the connection to autism and the connection to IBS, which I have, and like all this stuff. And I just didn't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, is what I'm thinking. But it took 5 years of her telling me that for me to even consider some company that I heard snippets about gut health from, So during the fall, I just decided, what if every time I'm like, I tell myself I can't, or I shouldn't, or I won't, or, and I don't mean just Plexus. I mean, every time I'm saying I can't, if it's something I want, or I know like this is where I need to go, I have to just stop right there and say, I can do this, or I am this, or I am capable, or I am making money with Plexus. Like today, like I paid taxes and I wrote off my expenses for my communications and everything else, right? Just because I'm not at whatever level that I think I need to be at, I'm learning through these mistakes or these struggles. Like I'm learning. The thing that makes Plexus hard is because it's all in, right? It's all in. You're putting yourself out on the line. You're being vulnerable. You're crying on a training call. You're telling people the things you didn't want to tell anyone, right? And all of a sudden, you're doing that. Like, it's been incredible. So in the mix of that, I've also learned some stuff about what type of marketer I want to be, because, yes, mindset change is good, but you can't change people's lives if they don't get the products, right? So it really only works if you take them. So what I decided to do is just sort of look at network marketing in general and what were successful people that I wanted to be like, even if they're not in Plexus, just in general, who do I follow, or what am I interested in as far as my business, and who I want it to be, because that's the whole point here, is that I can say, these are my hours and this is what it looks like, and here's what I'm willing to do. So what I decided, or what I always kept hearing, was that people follow passion. So if you are not passionate about what you're doing, people aren't going to really want to join you. Like, I do boot camps, and there's some trainers that are there and they give you the list of things to do, and we go and we do them, but it's not really, there's no passion in what they're doing, and they're not loving what they're doing, and those classes aren't as fun as trainers who are excited, who are motivating you, who are inspiring you and telling you you can do this, even though you really don't want to at that moment. So, and I've decided that's the kind of customer or ambassador I'm trying to attract too. People who are passionate, people who have desire for things greater than where they might be. And then if you'd asked me 2 years ago to do that, I would have said, I don't even know what I'm passionate about. Like, I just discovered that in the last couple of years, that I actually really like to exercise and that I might actually be an athlete in here. You know, so you may not know what that looks like, or like, but you know some of what you're passionate about, and I would encourage you to continue to pursue those things that make you feel good about yourself and what you're doing. And it doesn't have to be like some grand scheme kind of thing. Like, if you enjoy knitting, be the best knitter ever. Like, know all about the different things, all the different gauge needles or whatever it is. Be that awesome person who that's what you do. Or like my sister does, holistic, homeopathic. If you want to know what food to eat, ask her. She's really good at that. In my case, I love mindset and the law of attraction. And so I've just started, and working out apparently is now my new thing. I've just decided to pursue those things that make me happy, you know, and obviously I still have to do the laundry, and I still have to drive my kids to and from school and make dinner. But as much as I can, I'm trying to put pieces that I'm really passionate about, or that I enjoy, that I have fun with, because we have a ripple effect on people. So if we're not happy, it's hard for our children. Really, we influence them so much to be happy. But it's also hard for our potentials to see if we're, not that you don't want to be real, but if all you're focusing on is what's hard or what's challenging, it's not as motivating. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. It's so weird y'all are on mute, so I don't feel like it's back and forth like a normal conversation. Sue's talking to me, but I can't hear her, I think, is what's really happening. So I decided to look at things like, I'm doing attraction marketing versus selling products. And so I kind of did like example of, if you're doing attraction marketing and you want to talk about Vital Biome, you would say, I love having less stress, no anxiety, calm days. Instead of, Vital Biome has such and such an ingredient and all these clinical studies, which are really important pieces of information, absolutely. But Facebook and social media is really more like, it's kind of like mingling, like a dating app or like a bar when we were for the old people, the place you would go to sort of see who's out there and what they're doing and engage in that way. But you're not seriously committing to that person because of their Facebook post. Someone's Facebook post is just telling you kind of who they are and what they're doing. So it should be more like educational, engagement and relationship based, or explaining the benefits and the needs that your products meet, rather than, you know, BioCleanse is magnesium and it has this and that. Again, it's all really important, but you're really trying to explain to them, nobody is buying ingredients or a product, they're buying the solution that or the need that it meets. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Because some of my most beneficial posts that I've done have not said plexus at all, or said it once. Like I said, I love this, and I put a lot of other information about the benefits I've experienced and the changes that I've had. And I've had people reach out on posts that have nothing to do with plexus at all, but discuss plexus with me because I've sprinkled it throughout. I mean, it's obvious that I do plexus, but I'm not like bashing people over the head with that information. And I do bring it up in conversation, or I do message people when I say, hey, you mentioned you were having trouble with this. I wanted to let you know. But then it can be a more natural back and forth. rather than saying like, hey, I know you from Facebook, now let's be best friends and like, do this thing for the rest of our lives together. That's not. And what I was doing previously with my messages was a little bit like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, but you want to do this and you can join my team, da 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 da. And they have, it just was out of order or out of sync a little bit. Or even what I've been working on is when people say, what do you do? I still haven't found how to naturally say what I do. I know what I want to do. I know what I've been doing but to actually say in natural conversation, I'm a hope dealer, I haven't gone there yet. Or I change lives. I haven't got there yet, but I will get there. So what I'm thinking I can say is I help people change their habits so they can change their lives. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, because for me, a lot of what I've done is habits. So if I can change that habit and they start taking supplements instead of medication, or supplements and then they start eating better foods, that was just one that I came up with. Instead of saying I sell Plexus, it's just it's true. Like both of those are true pieces of information. But for me and my focus, I do sell Plexus, but I also help people change their habits so they can change their lives. And that's where I want to focus. And on that note, part of that shift that I was talking about with in my business in particular, I started praying that God directs me to the people who need Plexus, and that my struggle and my experience can help direct them to heal, but also to Him. So that's really like, and I don't know that I would ever say that in a casual conversation, what do you do? But in my mind, my job is just that. It's to help people and to direct them to God. And if Plexus can help them, I hope that they will come to me or anyone else who sells Plexus, because I believe it changed my life for a reason. And I've had this really loud voice my whole life, and I didn't even know what I needed to use it for until now. So anyway, the other thing I do a lot of is affirmations. Affirmations are huge for me because a lot of our tapes that we play, we didn't even program. Like they happen before we even have full memories of them or barely have memories of them. But what I've learned is basically our brain is a computer, right? And we can reprogram it whenever we want. So whether I thought I wasn't a very good athlete, or whether I thought I wasn't worthy, or whether I thought people didn't want to hear what I have to say, or whatever it is, I get to choose to change it. And so I say, I am this. I am capable. I am worthy. I am a leader. I am on time. And turns out it works, because I've started to be on time more often and reminding myself that is something I want to be. And whatever we tell ourselves or whatever we affirm, we will agree with. So if we say we're not capable, or, these old tapes that we play in our head, we won't be as successful. So the last thing I kind of want to talk about, what time are we at? Oh, okay. Is like I was talking a little bit about messaging and how to get connections with people and build those relationships. And a lot of my knowledge has come from doing it the wrong way and failing forward and learning through the process. But for me, the best way to not come across as fake or as like I'm only reaching out because I want to talk to you about Plexus is to make that not the only reason that I'm reaching out or talking to someone. Like I may have someone in mind who has a benefit that Plexus will provide for them, but I need to find another reason also that I can interact with this person. So it can be that I want to catch up and I've been thinking about them. That is the truth. I've been thinking about them, and but also how are they doing? And part of that for me, why I've been looking back, haven't been as successful in the beginning, is because I didn't listen. I am really good at just talking and talking about myself and what's going on with me, but sometimes you just have to listen. So what I've learned about messaging is that it's kind of a tennis match where there's this back and forth, or like, when you play a game, it's your turn and now it's their turn. And a lot of times I just have to ask them about themselves. And the only time I may talk about myself is if I can relate to what they've said in some sort of way. Like, I'm having a really hard time sleeping and I can relate to that. So that I know really what is going on with them, because I totally believe Plexus can help most people with most problems. But if I don't know what their problems are, I don't know what to tell them is going to meet their need. So that's one thing that I've learned, and that I just have to sometimes zip it and listen. And the other thing I'm learning is about Facebook Live is really important. It's how people view us. It's how they connect with us. And even if you don't like doing it, it really would benefit you. And also, it does not have to be a Facebook Live about Plexus. Like, really, it can be like the birds in the backyard or the kids in the creek. I'm looking at you two homeschool moms. Or it can be, whatever. It doesn't have to be. Mine end up being really kind of serious, I realize, but it can be whatever, but those will help increase your engagement on Facebook, but just also help people connect with you and help you connect with people. And some of those lives that's helped me so much. People have reached out and given me resources and information about things that I'm struggling with. So, and then, back to the messaging or any engagement that we have with someone, and we're, representing Plexus, we just want to leave them better than we found them. So sometimes I reach out to someone and they've already tried Plexus and they don't like it, or they didn't like the taste, or it didn't work, or whatever they may say. Of course, I ask questions like, oh, really? How long ago was that? We reformulated, changed the flavor, a new one coming, all those things. But I always say, want to encourage them. If it did, sometimes they tell me like, but I didn't really give it a good try, or, it wasn't the right time, or the cost was too much, or whatever they might say. I still encourage them that they still could benefit from it. And, of course, I'm sorry they didn't have a positive experience or whatever, but then continue to engage with that person. Like, don't, you'd be like, oh, you already tried Plexus, I'm crossing you off my list, and now I don't know who you are anymore. Like, that is something that is really important to me, because if I cared enough before I found out they had tried Plexus, I care enough after. That's and even some people join us and they try it and they don't care for it, or they don't have the whatever. I want them to leave with a good feeling about Plexus, so that 6 months from now or a year from now, they still have that positive outlook about Plexus. And then the last couple of things I wrote down is that we always want to follow best practices. So if Plexus tells us about compliance, we may see people who do things that are maybe on the line, but we want to do best practices just to protect ourselves and to feel our integrity stays intact. I think that's it, except I had a little challenge for people, but y'all have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just love hearing your journey, and I want to hear the challenge.
Okay. So like I was saying, I'm actively challenging some of I see stuff in the chat. Hold on.
It's Megan telling you you're amazing.
Well, and habits are the hardest. So that's something, okay, habits. What I realized is, instead of beating myself up because I ate 3 cookies, just remind myself how many years I ate 3 cookies, or actually probably ate the whole pack of cookies, and 3 was like refraining. So I've had to remove like the guilt aspect and say, I'm in the habit of doing that. I'm in the habit of ordering. Y'all, for a year, I would go to the frozen yogurt with my kids. I would get a sample and it wouldn't taste good anymore, and I would still get a cup, like out of pure habit. Like, I'm at the yogurt shop I should just get yogurt. Like, you don't actually have to, especially if it doesn't taste good and it's not good for you. You actually don't have to do that. And so that took me a good year, like 3 or 4 times of not finishing my frozen yogurt, and realize I am in the habit of whatever I'm doing, just keep doing that thing. So if you catch yourself in the middle of something that is unproductive habit or unproductive thought or unproductive behavior, the first thing you have to do is be grateful for something relating to that. Or like when my legs hurt, I'll say, I'm so glad that I can run, because a few years ago, I could not do that. Like, I would have died trying to do that. I did die a few times trying to get up to speed. So
I'm going to buy that shirt that says, but did you die though?
Yes. In the middle of it, it feels like it's imminent. And then you have to state it differently. So like, I caught us saying, I hate running, or the trainer would say, let's go, right? And we'd all go, ugh, right? Now it's like, let's go, or I like running, or I like the effects of running, or at least it's not, 2 miles. I mean, it can be little things. I would encourage you to go bigger, because you'll be surprised how quickly it shifts. But if you have to say, at least I'm not running a mile or whatever, or at least, here's one. When I used to message, I would have a panic attack. Every single message like a cold message, they took me forever, because I literally would have to like just override the panic and hit send. So on a good day, I could get 2, maybe 3 messages out, right? Because that's like emotionally exhausting. A few days ago, I'm able to do like 4 without thinking, right? Well, one of those reasons is because I've changed how my perspective is. I'm engaging with people and making their lives better, whether they buy Plexus with me or not, or try Plexus or do any of it. I've just decided I'm good at messaging. Messaging comes naturally to me. That's what I'm telling myself. Is it true? Not every day, not yet, but I want that to be a habit, right? Just like running. And so I can say, I can do these applications all over the place. I can do it with my son. I can do it with my kids. I can do it with my husband. Like, I can do it with my mother-in-law, y'all. I can say, I am so grateful. I know that it's crazy talk, but you can say, like, I'm so grateful that I have a good enough relationship that I can live with her, because that is pretty, that's pretty good. And we both love her son. We have that in common interest. And, you can always change how you look at something. And if you had told me this 5 or 10 years ago, I would have said, you people are not living in reality. Like, the problem is the problem, and you can't just change your mind about the problem, but you can change how you approach the problems, or whether you want it to stay a problem, or whether you want it to be a solution. So just try to catch yourselves if you're saying like, oh, I'm not good at this, or oh, I hate this thing, or try to find a way to like flip it and to make it, well, I guess like I always think my assets are also my liabilities, right? So some of my biggest strengths are also some of my weaknesses, right? Like my heart on my sleeve, for example, can be really great, but it can make me vulnerable. So it's just how we choose to utilize that and grow in that. So that's what I've got. That's your challenge. If you catch yourself talking bad about yourself.
I love it. Do you have like a system that you use? Do you do like affirmations every day, or do you just do it like when you catch yourself?
I do have that app, and so I haven't recorded myself, but it does have things. I need to do my affirmations in my voice. I think that will be very powerful for me. But no, I just do it like, because my mind is on constant go. I realized that as I started trying to catch these things, how often. This idea was initially presented when I did play therapy with my son, and they said to state things in the positive rather than the negative. So instead of saying, hey, don't jump on the couch, all he heard was jump on the couch or what not to do. And he focused on that. And if I said, put your feet on the floor, then at least he knew what to do. Whether he did it or not, he knew like the expectation and what to do. And that just kind of built for me. And then but as far as I like that app and I would like to do that more consistently, but I have to catch myself all the time. I'm basically playing a mind game with myself. I'm like, I will reprogram you.
I think it's great. And we talk about affirmations in this team all the time because it's true. I mean, every successful, 1 second, baby. Man, almost made it through a whole meeting without interruptions.
Only when you're talking though.
Yes. Every successful person that, I've ever come in contact with says that. We had to have a mind shift change. We had to have, I had to do affirmations. And so, Ellie, stop. It's fancy. So I do the same thing. I try really hard to do that. And sometimes I struggle, but I'm getting better. So.
Well, the other thing I've noticed is when someone's in a crisis, like maybe they're having a funky time, reaching out to them. It used to bother me when people would reach out because I was thinking like, I'm so overwhelmed. Don't tell me to do more things. But when you realize people are reaching out to send you they're sending you like the life preserve. They're like, here you go. Here's some information. Like if I'm sick, remind me what to do because I'm sick, right? Or if I'm like struggling with my mindset, remind me, not because you're like judging someone, but because you're trying to help them remember how to get through.
When I'm in Texas, you can text me at 5:30 in the morning and get me out of bed.
You should totally come work out with me.
I will. Yeah. I think you're close to where I'll be.
So. Oh yeah.
For sure. No, I will. I was gonna shoot you a message on that anyways because I love having accountability and stuff.
I do have one other thing to ask people, just to, if one thing they would like to have done when they started that they didn't, or something like a recommendation for our new person, Monica.
All right. Who wants to start?
Sue?
I was gonna say maybe I should start. Monica is kind of doing everything that I wish I had done. I started out like, oh my gosh, I need to do this, and I have to. Well, real briefly, my husband was out of work for 2 years, but Anna kind of she kept telling me, this is exactly what you've been talking about. You just don't realize this is what you've been talking about. I was like, oh, that's sweet. It's a little harder to heal leaky gut than taking a couple of pills, Anna. But anyway, I just like, okay, I'm kind of desperate. I want to do it. And so, but we didn't really have a lot of extra cash. And so I was like, I just went like headlong into it. I had no idea what I was doing. Luckily, the products worked really quickly for me because then I could do it. So I like the way you're approaching it, Monica, where you already did a lot to have her message me. And then she's already done so much. She knows a lot already about, she's already researched the company and a lot of the things that go along with what you would need to have to be successful. And so, and I like your patience with it because I was too frenetic. And maybe, okay, here's my encapsulized thing. A little bit every day is better than an explosion. How's that?
I think that's good. Little every day. I'm going to post that video about the popcorn popping for y'all. I'm going to post a video for y'all based on that.
Man, there's so many things that I wish I would have done. Monica, you probably don't know me at all, but I had a really, really quick journey from ambassador to senior Ruby, about 7 months. And I've been sitting at senior Ruby now for 2 years. And It's not a bad place to sit. Please don't ever hear me complain. I'll never complain. I love where I'm at. But I think I have a lot of things. But number one, remember that as you're growing a team, to not only learn about our company and our products, but to learn leadership, because that was one of the biggest things that I was lacking, was that my team grew really quickly and then I didn't know what to do with them. I was like, I have all these people that I, gained some by luck and some by work. But it was just kind of like, then what? And I think that's why I've kind of not stalled out, but why I needed to kind of take a step back for me to learn more about how to help, my team. That's probably my biggest, is to remember to pour into yourself as well, but to remember to build relationships first. That when we, if we will constantly have the mindset that we are out there to help others and not to gain a profit, or I don't think any of us go out there with that mindset of like, oh, I need money, so I need to work my business. But sometimes we get shifted into that a little bit, that we're like, we do our IPA because we need to get it done, and so we might send out 10 messages that are kind of lame instead of 3 really intentional, heartfelt, caring messages where we really focus on the people. I think just focus on the people and remember to pour into yourself and learn leadership. That's what I got.
Anyone else?
I don't know, Monica, did she just fall off?
I think she just fell off.
Okay.
Well, then maybe we're done with that.
That was awesome, Anna.
Thanks. That's kind of a blur.
I needed it, Anna. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You hit just what I needed today.
That's what my prayer is.
Well, you nailed it.
Thank you. We good?
Sorry, I had myself muted. Thank you again for volunteering and jumping on. Next month, our guest speaker is Beth, and so I'm really, really excited about that. And I think Shaydell is going to jump on and talk about something in the next couple of weeks. So really excited, looking forward to all of that. We are talking exactly what Annalisa said. Next week, we are doing, lose my train of thought, but marketing. What did you say to me today?
Attraction marketing.
I'm struggling with that word lately. It's the second time I've drawn a blank on that. Attraction marketing next week.
Think magnet. Think magnet.
Yeah, there you go. So if you want to learn more about attraction marketing, we're going to learn about that next week. So thank you again. And I will just get this up. Thanks, girl.